Hey everybody, I'm Cammie. We're back in the Warwoman Cabin today. I've got the wood stove fired up for us. You may hear it crackling and popping as we go along. We are going to do a two-part project today, starting with a frugal recipe from the Foxfire book of Appalachian cookery. We're actually going to make mayonnaise. You're probably thinking, why on earth would I need to make mayonnaise? It's just a condiment for sandwiches. It is true, I love it on a good ham sandwich, but I'm going to show you some of the more versatile ways that we can use mayonnaise in our day-to-day baking. So mayonnaise is actually really simple to make. It's just an egg yolk, vinegar, oil, and some seasonings. So pretty simple. Hopefully you have most of those items in your pantry. If you find that you're running down to the last of your eggs, or your oil, or your butter, whatever you have, and you really want to make a baked good, mayonnaise is actually a really great substitute for some of these baked goods that we love. I know for me personally, today is my nephew's birthday, and I know a lot of other people who are celebrating birthdays during this quarantine time, and I would love to make them a cake. However, I don't want to use up all of my eggs, and I still want to be able to bake them something. So mayonnaise is actually going to be the substitute that I'm going to use for that cake. Mayonnaise was used during World War II, during rationing in the United States, when people were running out of oil and eggs and butter, the same things that we're seeing fly off the shelves today. People would actually use mayonnaise to make some of these baked goods. Some of you may have actually had a mayonnaise cake before. I know a chocolate mayonnaise cake is pretty popular, but you can also use it in biscuits, cookies. I've seen all kinds of recipes that allow you to substitute mayonnaise. You can actually directly substitute mayonnaise for eggs. You simply add 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise for every egg that a recipe calls for. And that's because it's mostly a fat, so it's going to act in a similar way in your baked goods. I'm also going to post a recipe for what I'm calling a poor man's egg Benedict, because mayonnaise, especially homemade mayonnaise, is somewhat similar to hollandaise sauce. Hollandaise just has a lot more cream and actually several more egg yolks in it. So I'll be posting that recipe as part of the blog. It'll be a pretty simple throw together recipe. So you may want to reserve a tablespoon or 2 of your homemade mayonnaise from this project to put on top of that poor man's egg Benedict. And then you can also use mayonnaise in your traditional things like potato salad. There's actually recipes in the Foxfire book of Appalachian cookery for fruit salads that call for a mayonnaise-based dressing. And then you can also use it for dips. It makes a great base for salad dressings. And I know people who love to put it on their grilled cheese instead of butter because it gives it a really tangy, crispy crust. So mayonnaise is very versatile, and it's amazing that you can make it out of just a few simple ingredients. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the mayonnaise, and then we'll let it sit while the wood stove finishes heating up, and then we'll get started on our cake, which I'm really excited about. The first thing you're going to do is separate your egg. I always save my egg whites and my egg yolks, no matter what I'm making. If I have to separate an egg, I'll probably use this egg white to make some granola. You can eat it if you cook it up, or you can whip it into a meringue if you're still trying out that custard pie, whatever you want to do. So we're going to start with that. So there we have just our egg yolk, and we're just going to beat this up a bit, just to kind of start breaking it up. You're probably going to want to tilt your bowl, if you're using a bigger bowl like me, towards the edge so that it's all kind of beaten in one area. Okay, then we're going to start by adding just 1 tablespoon of vinegar. The recipe is ultimately going to call for 2 tablespoons of vinegar, but you don't want to add it all at once. So we're just going to add in this first tablespoon and beat it in pretty well. I'm actually using a ½ tablespoon here, so I am adding 1 full tablespoon, even though you're seeing me put this in twice. Okay, so this is just getting it nice and liquefied. Got it pretty well beaten up. Okay. Now I'm going to add dry mustard. Dry mustard is going to help act as an emulsifier, which basically means that it's going to help the water, fat, or oil molecules all bind together. So I am adding just a 1/4 teaspoon of dry mustard here. If you have wet mustard, that's fine too. You can use that. And then I'm also going to put in just a little bit of salt. This recipe calls for 3/4 teaspoon, excuse me, but I'm actually just going to add ½ teaspoon. And for this, you really want to use table salt. Woo! Don't do that. Okay, pour it out up there. Okay, so you want to beat this all together really well. So all of that's pretty well mixed up. And now I stole this trick from Jamie Oliver. I'm going to take this towel and have it prop up my bowl, because this next part is going to be really important. I'm going to want both hands free to be able to do this. So now you're going to add your oil. I've got 3/4 of a cup measured out here, but you want to add it just drip by drip until it's emulsified. So we are going to just whisk vigorously. I'm just going to add it a drop at a time. Okay, then once it's started the emulsification process, so it'll start thickening up quite a bit, and you shouldn't see any separation of oil and the yolk, then you can just start adding this in at a much more steady stream as you're whisking constantly. You can also do this in a KitchenAid or a food processor. If you don't feel like beating it by hand, it's a little bit easier to do with electric. Starting to get really thick and really white, just like mayonnaise. All of the oil, we've added 3/4 of a cup, and I'm just going to finish beating this in. All right, now we want to pause and add the rest of our vinegar. Remember, we're just adding 1 more tablespoon. And you can use vinegar of your choice. I just had some white vinegar available, or you can use lemon juice or a mixture of both. All right, so as we can see, that's really thickened up nicely, and it's a nice creamy color. So this is your mayonnaise that's ready to be used. So I'm going to set this aside to just set up for a bit, and then we'll get ready to start on our cake. Okay, our wood stove oven is getting pretty close to being ready. We want to bake it around 350 or 375. Again, I'll post this recipe on our blog so that you can have all the ingredients and so you can adapt it to your own oven. So we're going to start with our cup of mayonnaise. Measure this, it's about a cup, and that's what we want. If you didn't opt to make your own mayonnaise, you can just throw in a cup of full fat mayonnaise. Don't use the low fat stuff. To this, we're going to add 1 cup of water. You want to make sure that this is room temperature. Okay, and then we are going to add 2 cups of flour. I'm just using regular all-purpose flour here. And you want to make sure that your cups are fairly level. I know some people prefer to weigh or sift and sweep. You can kind of do whatever you prefer. Just 2 cups is what we're shooting for. And then you want to add in a cup of sugar. Again, I'm just using some plain white granulated sugar. If you want to mix it up and add in a little bit of brown sugar, you can. You want to make sure that it's mostly granulated sugar. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up just a bit to get it started. And you want to make sure it's fairly well beaten. Again, you can do this in your electric mixer. Okay, to that we're going to mix in 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Measure. So I had to double check this because 2 teaspoons seemed like a lot for a leavening agent, and I found multiple recipes and they all call for 2 teaspoons of baking soda, not baking powder. So I'm going to mix that in, and then I'm going to also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. If you want to get fancy, you can sub in an almond extract or whatever your favorite flavoring is. Okay, into that you're going to add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. Okay, and that's all that goes into this cake. No, like I said, no eggs, no oil, no salt, although you can add a little bit of salt if you want, but we have salt in the mayonnaise, so it should be okay. And I am making a mess, which is what you're supposed to do when you're baking, right? And it's pretty thick, but so you want to make sure that you mix it up really well and get that cocoa powder really beat in there. Okay, so that is pretty good. It looks really delicious and rich and thick. So now I am going to spoon it into my tray once this wind lets down. I am using cupcakes, a cupcake tin, because it bakes faster that way. You can certainly do this in a 9x13, 8x8, circular pans, whatever you want to do. I'm going to spoon this into my prepared pan. So my muffin tins are full and it is ready to go in. I'm just going to check the wood stove and we'll come back and pop it in the oven. Oven is just about ready, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this in. It's probably going to bake in your oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, rotate it halfway through. It's going to take a little bit longer in the wood stove. If you're doing a full cake, I would estimate between 30 and 40 minutes based on your oven's temperature. Again, I'll put all the information online so that you can make the best judgment for your oven. So I'm going to stick these in and then we'll come check them in a little bit. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. I've rotated them a couple of times because with the wood stove you want to make sure you're moving it since the firebox is just in one location so that we didn't want our cupcakes to burn. So I'm going to pull them out and take a look at them. They look and smell amazing. So again, they kind of almost look like brownies, but if you're doing a cake, you can test it by sticking a toothpick through the center and making sure it comes out clean. If you're doing cupcakes, I like to just give them a little tap on their tops and see if they bounce back. So these are wonderful. I'm going to let them cool, and then once they're cool, I'm going to frost them. I'll post a couple of different recipes for frosting on our website, and you can try out whichever one you like the best. I've got a cool recipe that doesn't include any confectioner sugar, so if you are out of powdered sugar in your house and just have regular granulated sugar, I recommend you try giving this special icing a try. So again, you can get all of the recipes at our website, which is www.foxfire.org. If you go to our journal, you'll be able to see our blog post where we'll have all of the recipes from today's activities. And join us next time. Thank you.